Imagine stepping into a whole new world of uncertainty, where everything feels unfamiliar and strange. This is the reality of a foreign newcomer student going to school in the United States for the first time. The blend of excitement, fear, curiosity, and vulnerability creates a whirlwind of emotions, making the experience both vivid and moving. For Pedro Gomez, a Spanish speaking 12-year-old new arrival from Caracas, Venezuela, who dreams of being a software engineer and coder, his first day of school in the United States was marked with his heart racing with anticipation as he dipped his figurative toes into uncharted waters. Walking down his middle school's hallway, his eyes darted from one face to another, searching for a glimpse of familiarity. But the sea of unfamiliar faces was overwhelming, leaving the newcomer feeling like a solitary island in the midst of crashing waves. For Pedro, the language barrier becomes an invisible wall, presenting challenges at every turn. Listening to the rapid-fire English conversations felt like standing in the middle of a bustling market with indiscernible words flying around like confetti. In class, Pedro yearns to communicate, to express himself, but the struggle to find the right words hampers his confidence. I started this podcast by exploring the unique challenges faced by Pedro Gomez, a Spanish-speaking newcomer navigating his first day of school in the United States. His experience is not isolated, and as we witnessed his initial hesitations and the language barrier he encountered, it might have become clear to you that traditional methods would most likely not fully address the needs of newcomer emergent English learner students like Pedro. But there's hope. During my experience as a learning and development specialist in a Texas school district, I, along with another colleague, witnessed firsthand the shortcomings of traditional instructional methods for newcomer students. The lack of language-appropriate materials and the mismatch between curriculum and learning proficiency levels were hindering their progress, and this led us to explore project-based learning as a potential solution. Project-based learning, or PBL for short, in essence is a student-centered approach where students dive into real-world problems and questions through collaborative projects. This aligns perfectly with the needs of newcomer students because it provides them with authentic opportunities to use and develop their language, culture, and academic skills in meaningful ways. Here are 5 other reasons why project-based learning is a great option for newcomer students. Number 1, it fosters engagement and motivation because students have the opportunity to work on projects that not only pique their interest, but also have real-world applications. So it helps students become more invested in the learning process. Next, it draws on newcomer cultural and linguistic assets. So in essence, PBL allows students to share their unique experiences and perspectives, enriching the classroom experience for everyone. Thirdly, project-based learning encourages authentic communication. So as students collaborate on their projects, they naturally engage in verbal and written communication, and that strengthens their language skills, which is what we want. Number 4, it supports critical thinking and problem solving. So projects often pose challenges that require students to think critically, analyze information, and find solutions, which are essential skills for academic and career success. And lastly, project-based learning connects learning to a real-world context, and that is so important. Students need to see why their learning is relevant. So PBL bridges the gap between academic content and practical application, making learning more meaningful and relevant. So relevancy is key. And these are just some of the key advantages of PBL that make it an ideal instructional method or approach for newcomer students who can learn not only academic content, but also essential life skills and competencies for their future success. However, I need to note that implementing PBL is not without its challenges. As you might imagine, projects are time-consuming, and we need to ensure that students have adequate language support, technology access, in addition to training teachers to shift from the provider of knowledge or the giver of knowledge to a facilitator of knowledge, and that requires careful planning and strategic solutions. This includes collaboration, differentiation, technology training, and professional development so these challenges can be effectively addressed. So, moving on to something more positive. One success story I can share about PBL in action for newcomers is the Get to Know My Story project that my counterpart and I put together. This project allowed newcomers to showcase their cultural backgrounds and stories and practice their communication skills in a safe and supporting environment. It's projects like these that illustrate the transformative power of PBL for newcomer students. Let's take a listen.
And when I come in the house, I always put music on to be concentrated. My favorite memory. My favorite memory was when I was in Mexico and my grandma come visit us. She stayed anytime with us. We travel a lot of places, like the zoo, to the parks, to theaters. I was so sad when she left us and get to Venezuela again.
That was a first year newcomer student presenting her Get to Know My Story project to her classmates and other audience members. Now let's imagine, as time progresses, Pedro finds his voice and shares his stories. The once daunting halls transform into pathways filled with opportunities, laughter, shared dreams, and a growing sense of belonging. Being a newcomer student is indeed an emotional journey, but through human connection, innovative approaches like project-based learning, and a spirit of learning, these students overcome challenges and discover themselves within a new world. The story of the newcomer student is not just about education, but about the universal human experience of finding oneself, belonging, and embracing a world that was once so unfamiliar. So, what are your thoughts? If you're an educator, parent, or someone passionate about supporting newcomer students, consider exploring PBL and its potential to empower these learners. In doing so, we can ensure that every child, regardless of their background, has the opportunity to thrive. For further exploration, check out the resources in the description box below and subscribe to my channel for more educational content.